Hi, it's Pete Moore, what of PCM Guns. This is not a gun test, and it's not an April Fool. This is something rather different. It's called a bipod extender. I've heard of them, roughly know what they do, never got one in the flesh. And NieLoad, the people that make the Red Mist tripods and the Drakensberg tripods, very kindly sent me two options of what they offer. So let's see what it's all about, which is really levers and fulcrums. NieLoad make two units. This big boy here is carbon fibre with aluminium fittings. This end is configured to align with the Picatinny base, and this end has a Picatinny base there for a suitable bipod. It's quite light being carbon fibre, but it is very, very long. Slightly more practical is the aluminium version. It's heavier. Again, it slides in to the Picatinny base in your rifle. This silver lever here, when you're in position, it pushes up and it engages with one of the Picatinny slots, so under recoil the extender won't move. Then there's a clamp here, you just wind it up and it clamps in. This one too has a second Picatinny section here, so it's quite long and it's screwed in. And what you can do is move this backwards and forwards if you want to fine tune it. So of the two, this strikes me as the most practical, because you could leave it on your rifle if you wanted to, but this, it makes the rifle, as we shall see, look like the old British Army bullpup LSW light support weapon. It had a wheelie sort of covered in forearm with the bipod right at the end. And you could argue that it is very impractical, and it is, because you've increased the length of your rifle, added to the weight of it, and you wouldn't want to go stalking with this, and it's really more for long range work, because what it does is it takes some of the deviation out of the shooting position. If you look at it this way, where the bipod sits on a rifle is a fulcrum point. It's just basics or physics. So if you're saying you're in the aim and you sort of, as we all know, you try to be as still as possible to break the shot perfectly. Doesn't always happen. If you move slightly or twitch slightly, then with a fulcrum point on a rifle as standard, which say if that's the barrel will be back there, then any movement you make in the shoulder laterally will be amplified beyond the fulcrum point, and even though it may not look like it in your scope, then you could be off to the left or the right quite a lot. And this is what the bipod extender does. But as I said, you know, you could go stalking with it if you wanted to, but I couldn't quite see the point of it. But again, if you're, you know, going to Uzbekistan to shoot Marco Polo sheep, you know, like the hunt of a lifetime, lots of money, and you're talking long shots in the main on that sort of animal, because you're up in the mountains, and you perhaps want to make sure that you want to get it as good as possible. And this thing is incredibly light when you think about it. I mean, you can hump an 8.5 pound Red Mist tripod up a mountain and get a similar sort of effect in terms of stability, but that's a lot of weight. This thing you could actually put in your pack, and if you see the beast at 600 metres or whatever it is, he's not really too worried by you, and it will give you time to either put it on or put a bipod on. I'm not justifying, I'm just saying. Or if you just into long range shooting, I know an American guy who shoots long range 2.2 long rifle, and he's got a CZ, and he's made himself a bipod extender. It's a similar thing, just a clamp with a tube and a fitting for a bipod at the end. And he's telling me that at 250 metres his rifle will shoot 4.5 inches, obviously wind aside, because the extender just cuts down that deviation. So if you have a 24-inch stick with a hole in the middle, it balances 12 inches either end, and you can then look at, as you move the back end, the front end will move exactly the same distance in the opposite direction. But if you then move the fulcrum point all the way forward, you might still get the same movement in the back end, but because the point is here and not here, then the reduction in muzzle movement will be apparent, certainly along the ranges. But that's how it works. Let's just look at it on the guns. This is the full length carbon version attached onto my GRS stock. everything needs to be tight. As you can probably see, there's a little bit of dip here. Now the reason that is this just uses a synthetic material Picatinny, and it's not that solid. If you had a rifle that had like a full length 4-way forend with Picatinny at the bottom, it would be a lot more stable, but that's the idea. But as you can see, it is ridiculously long, but it does prove the point very much in terms of movement, and certainly of weight in relation to the target. Of the two, I consider this the more practical version. This hook here, as I said before, comes down, and when it's all together it engages with the Picatinny slots. There's a lever here that adjusts it, and you can see it is a lot more rigid than this carbon one. Then again, the carbon one's twice the length. But you can also extend this backwards and forwards as you need, and I think this is a lot more practical, even though it does add as a weight to the rifle and it does make it a bit cumbersome. It's without doubt an unusual looking system, but it does have possibilities if you really are looking to sort of make sure that you can take out as much lateral deviation as is possible. Okay, that's Pete Moore signing off. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, tell your friends, support my channel. Thanks very much indeed. Want to speak to me, it's pmoore.shootingsports@gmail.com. I'm going to be back with some more wild and woolly stuff. But there you have it. Be safe.